Hey there, IT 140 students. So in this recording, we're going to take a look at the second part of Chapter 8, where we're going to talk about modules um, in Python. So first thing, you have been writing everything in just one file. And in real development, we might separate out not only things like classes from the last recording, but just functionality. And we might put them in separate files. This way, if we want to reuse a class or reuse a function, it's much easier to reuse a module or a file than it is when it's all in one location. So the idea here is we're going to create a module. And if you scroll down here, I'm going to use the example that they have. So I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to create a file called myfunctions.py, and they've got a factorial method in there. So I'll go ahead and grab that. I'm going to paste that in here, and let's just create another method. We'll call it sum value 1, value 2. I'm just going to have a couple methods in here. And so all this does is it returns value 1 plus value 2. So now that we have our methods created here in our module, so keep in mind it's called myfuncs, let's come and use those functions. So we're going to copy and paste, and we're going to put this in a separate file. So this is in a separate file, so I'm just kind of reusing my main.py that I've been using for a while here. So in order to use the function, that factorial, we need to import this as a module. So we import my functions, and then I can reference the factorial method using the name of the module. So for instance, if I go my funcs dot, I also see that sum method that I created right there. So this my functions module, I could reuse this anywhere I want. It's very simple. I can just use that file, send it wherever I need to, reference it in multiple different projects, easy peasy. So this will then calculate the factorial of a number. So crush fingers, this should all work. So if I enter in a number 5, so I get 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 120. So we can also import specific names from a module. So for instance, we could have done from myfuncs import factorial. And when I do that, I don't need to reference by the name of the module. Now I've imported just that particular function. So now I'll hit the run button, and we'll do 5 again, and we get the exact same result. So keep in mind that when I do import myfuncs, this pulls in absolutely everything. When I just pull in a particular function, then I use the from statement, and this only pulls in that one particular function. So how do I know when I pull in everything or just pull in a part? You want to try to limit what you pull in. This will make your application run faster if you only pull in exactly what you use. Otherwise, you get a little bit of bloat when you pull in absolutely everything. But if you know you're going to use everything, then you go ahead and pull it all in. Okay. Next thing, so you can execute a module as a script. So the way that this works is when your module gets read in, it's going to read from the top all the way down. And here I'm defining functions. No action's going to happen, but right here, this is an executable statement. So this is going to expect something to be entered in, and then I'm going to get a result. I'll use my method that's up above there, and then I'm going to print out my output. So this right here, this would be executable code right here, okay? Now, you may not want it to perform that way. So for instance, this is in websearch.py, so this is a module, and somebody else uses my module. Well, this is going to cause an unintended search because when this is imported, it's going to read in and say, oh, you've got executable code right here, search term, and it is going to ask for it. And so I have to enter in the values. So a fix for that is to put in if the name is main. So if we are running from the main method, then we execute the file as a script. So they can demonstrate right here. We've got some kind of a module. Well, excuse me. We took the web search module and we added in the if name, and now they've put in the executable code. So if we only want this code to execute when it's being implemented in a main method, then this takes care of it for us right here. Okay, last couple things here. So you've been working with the standard library. It's a module that everything gets imported to the entire term. So things that were already in the standard library that you didn't have to reference were things like print, open, but there are lots of other libraries available to you. Date time for date and time objects. If you ever needed to create random numbers, a time library, the math library. This is one that is frequently used. The operating system library, we've kind of briefly touched on it. It has things that make it easy to work with different operating systems, like file handling between Linux, Python, Linux, Mac, and Windows. And then again, some other libraries down here. So they just kind of introduce that to you. To use these other modules, you do need to have an import for them. And so you can see they're importing random right here and utilizing that. Last thing they talk about is a package called NumPy. So NumPy is a package to do a lot of scientific and mathematical computations. Has a lot of things to do work with linear algebra, arrays. So to use NumPy, you do an import NumPy, and then we can also specify how we want to reference the module. So here they're going to say as NP, and then we can reference all of the things that NumPy has using that variable. So I'll just go ahead and kind of come in here. So NumPy dot, oh, I need to install that real quick. I can see that it's working down there. Might have actually been smart enough. So I know that's got array. What else I have there? There's array, zeros. So I get a single dimensional array. Nope, I got to get it installed. Hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so now I've got NumPy installed. So now I can do np dot, and I'll see zeros, and it has lots and lots of different methods that are available to me. So we could just kind of go down through there. You can see that it's got a value for E. So print np.e. I'll probably have to put that as an str. So I should get the value of E 2.718281828. There it is. It looked like it had a value for pi, right? So I just hit the dot operator, let the IntelliSense kick in. So I know I saw E, there's probably a value for pi in there. Yep, there's pi. So lots and lots. I see polynomial. There's all sorts of things that we can do with NumPy. So one of the things that makes Python very popular in data analysis is the fact that it has something like NumPy to perform arithmetic calculations, mathematics for you. But oh, by the way, almost every programming language has something like that now. So, but that's okay. All right, so a nice little quick introduction to modules and how they get used. All right, I'll talk to you next time.